So let's start with the rapid fire rounds. The first question is, at what age do you want to retire?
I don't know yet, and I don't think of a rapid entrance to retirement.
Okay. The second question is, how long does it take you to get ready in the mornings?
1 hour and a half, because I like to exercise in the morning.
What time of day are you most inspired?
Very inspired in the train.
How many hours of sleep can you survive on?
I sleep 8 hours, not just to survive, but to feel well.
Mhm. Fill in the blank. An upcoming finance trend is blank.
Embedded finance.
The city in which the best kiss of your life happened.
Oh. Boston.
Mhm. How do you relax?
Playing the piano and dancing.
How many cups of coffee do you drink per day?
0.
A habit of yours that you hate.
Not that I hate, but I try to think less.
Mhm. So the most valuable skill you've learned in life.
Letting go.
Your favorite Netflix show.
K-dramas.
Okay. One word description of your leadership style.
Making people grow.
Top priority in your daily schedule.
Have clear priorities.
Mhm. Ideal vacation spot for relaxation.
Mountain in winter and seaside in summer, where I can kitesurf.
Key factor for maintaining a work-life balance.
Discipline.
Okay. All right, well, that was the end of the rapid fire. Now we can go on to the longer questions, which you can answer with as much time and ease as you like. The first one is, you've had a diverse career spanning strategic consulting, building ventures, and transforming large organizations. What motivated you to transition from building new ventures to focusing on large-scale transformations at BNP?
The short answer is when I was ready professionally and personally. And the longer answer is I think I have two motivation drivers that have been quite stable over time, have impact, and work with the smart and nice people. So I think over my career, I choose really my jobs in function of those two drivers. So I started in consulting, where people had smiles and sparkling eyes. I loved doing that, and I learned strategic and data-driven thinking. But then I missed the impact. But I earned a nice living, so I was able to save money and go for a work trip. During that work trip, I learned a little bit more about myself and what I wanted to do. And so when coming back, I knew that I wanted to build a venture on my own. And there I learned really from strategy to implementation in a very, very concrete way. But also the management of timing, which is key in a startup because you don't have a lot of money. After that, I think after 2000, I really wanted to learn more about digital because I knew this was going to impact a lot of the way we create products, distribute, and etc. So I joined a new venture and I learned the digital skills. And after that, the transition to transformation was quite natural because I built a venture in Italy for a French group, a digital retail consumer finance business that was very successful. And then the group in France asked me to turn their traditional business into a digital one in France. So this is how I started transforming. And then I was called by ING to do also the same kind of transformation, digital transformation on a larger scale. And then I became the CEO of ING Direct, and this is where I learned the P&L management and larger scale organizational and cultural transformation. So after that, when BNP called me, I thought that I had this different skills, and I was also personally more ready to have a role where I would not necessarily have all the levers, and that would be more political, because I felt also more secure, I think, on that side. So this is where I joined.
Mm-hmm. So, what have then been the most significant challenges you've faced in driving this digital transformation at BNP, for instance?
Yeah. So if you let me set the scene maybe for the audience so they understand a little bit where I'm talking from. So I work in the retail part of the bank. So this is where all the retail banks are. So it's 20 million clients and 8 countries, 100,000 people. And my role is really to make sure that the business model and the value proposition, the operating model, stays relevant with all the changes in the consumer and market and regulation and etc. So it's very wide because it touches on products, distribution, pricing, blah, blah, blah. So the key thing, and probably the key challenge, is to understand what are the key elements you need to work on, how they relate to each other, and how you're going to embark people on those topics. So this is what I gradually learned. So how you set up a common vision with people so they understand exactly where the bank need to go, and then what are the steps, and then make sure that you find people that are willing to go first. It's always someone wants to go first, and then you go with this one, you make a success, and then you share with others. I think this is pretty much what we've tried to reproduce in all the initiatives that we had.
And so, how do you, so in your current role, you focus on identifying and addressing all these priority needs of both customers and teams. How do you do that on a daily basis to achieve your objective?
Yeah, I think that the starting point of all this initiative is always the customer. So first, already identify the customers that we want to serve in a priority, because when you are a universal bank, you're addressing all the population, and people are very different. So make sure what kind of clients you want to address, and then have a really, through UX research, but also through quantitative research, be very clear about what are the main pain points for the clients you need to solve, or let's say this is more hygiene, but this is very important, and what are the things that are needs from the customer that are not met, and that means opportunity for you, new services, new way of addressing them. So it always starts with this work, and then we cross all those opportunities with the difficulty or capacity to do, complexity to do, and then we select priorities, and then we take one topic at a time. The first topic that will come to that has been really to make sure that this culture of thinking client first spread progressively into the organization.
And how do you manage to stay on top of such a broad range of topics? You mentioned UX and strategy. How do you manage to stay on top of all of this?
Yeah, I think, but first, that was your first question. I think that my career really prepared me quite well, because I had those broad experiences. But of course, things continue to change very fast. So I would say the main answer is that I rely on a great team of talents. I have 100 experts of all those expertise that work together, and that they keep learning. I keep learning. For example, AI and sustainability have been the two fields where I really had also to learn myself. So I went through programs of training at Cambridge, for example, for sustainability. But last thing also, I think, because you mentioned skills that are more hard skills, or technical skills, but I think that in such a role, I strongly believe that transformation is a skill in itself. And I think that in order to do my job, what I had also to learn is how people, because at the end, this is always a question about people, no? So what makes people want to change or stick to their habits, So I found out that the last training I've done, and it may sound a little bit strange, but I trained myself as a therapist because I wanted to understand what are really the more functioning about how mental health is working, and how you can help people change, and also to have a systemic view about the organization, because I really think about the company more as a body and less as a machine. So I think that the body, well, when you start infecting a virus, there's a reaction. So have a systemic view at things is absolutely crucial, because the biggest mistake you can do, I think, it's, okay, I see a problem, let's fix this problem, and then you create another problem. So I think this is lately, my thinking is a lot about that. And also because I think that mental health is a major issue in our societies and in corporations, and especially in those times of very rapid changes in the society, but also in the companies. Leaders really need to be more educated about that, to make sure that we are protecting also the mental health of their employees.
So you said you trained yourself as a therapist. How did you go about
Yes.
doing that?
I decided to go for Gestalt therapy. I don't know if you know that. So I did the training. It's actually, it started 4 years ago, and I'm going to be certified next October. So it's been weekends, it's been vacations dedicated to that. And yeah, I think that's been a great help in doing this job.
Oh, so you really are a constant learner.
Yeah, I think, yeah, I should have added to the motivation drivers learning. Absolutely.
So whether you look at a company as a system or a body, as you were trying to say, your role in general involves ensuring that BNP Paribas remains a successful business model in a new
Yes.
world. What do you see as the biggest challenges or trends shaping this new world?
Yeah, I think that there are a lot of trends, and I suppose many people that are listening are not bankers, but I think as a retail business, we are, of course, we observe the same trends as retail in general. So, of course, the increasing role of mobile commerce, social media, the role of influencers, the need for hyper personalization and instantaneity, but also growing the threat of security, or the need for security. And it's especially in the banking sector, of course, this is absolutely key. So I think those trends are really reshaping the way we think the distribution. When you think that today the majority of people are using the bank digitally through the mobile, and even when they meet an advisor, more than 60% of the meeting are remote. So how do you reshape your distribution model, rethinking the role of branches of human, upskilling them with more expertise, because humans are still needed, and clients clearly express preferences in some moments that they really want to talk with the human. So you have really the two paths, how you reinforce human in what they have, with particularity humans. So listen to express emotion, listen, be connected with people, and etc. And at the same time, how you accelerate also the digital transformation of your processes, you improve your mobile apps, and how you create the link between the two. I think this is the most complex things, because of course you have all the urbanization of data, IT architecture underneath. So this is a huge work, but I think that having a clear vision and shared vision between business and IT architects and CTOs and etc. really helps moving in that direction.
So you've mentioned the joy of seeing all these transformations and all of these things change over time. Could you give our audience a story about a transformation that you led at BNP that you are particularly proud of?
Yeah, I will say that for me, the most profound and difficult aspect of change in a big organization like this is really the culture and the ways of working. And of course, I've already touched upon that, but putting the customer at the center and work in an agile way is the two things that I've started when I came. And even though this is not the end, because this is a constant journey, but I'm very proud to see the changes. So if I look at whenever, and I was in a branch 2 weeks ago discussing with the manager of the branch, and she was very proud to show me her NPS score that is improving. This is something that people even didn't look at. So now you see that the voice of the client has deeply penetrated the organization. So people that are in the branches, manager of the branch, or if I meet a product owner in one of the country, he will tell me what the customer effort score on this process is, or what are the main pain points for the client that he is trying to solve. So I'm very happy about that. Of course, we can make more progress and we need to progress more, but this is one of the really thing I'm proud, and maybe a second one if I have time. Together with this, we progressively change the organization of our company towards agile way of working. So because we have companies that have like between 10 and 20,000 people, so they are big companies, and at the center you have also thousands of people that were working very much in silos. So what we've done is that we regrouped those people in tribes of 100, 150 people at max, and they are centered around, let's say, an activity for the customer which is coherent. For example, everything related to home, so home loans, home insurance, etc., within the same tribe, and uniting marketing people and IT people. And I think that this has been really very instrumental also in bringing this client orientation, because people have a common view about what the client experience and expectations are. They have common priorities, and they can really work together to make that happen. So this, I'm very proud as well. Even there, we have a lot of work still to do to have the DevOps and continuous delivery and etc. But I think we've made a huge progress.
So it seems what you guys are developing is a more personalized, it's an approach towards more personalized products and services here. So how do you plan to leverage data analytics to tailor marketing strategies and deliver personalized customer experiences here?
Yeah, I think this is very important. We have already started, because we've for a couple of years already, we are using AI and machine learning to, for example, to improve our marketing campaigns. So we are not using anymore the product scoring, but more we are starting with the person. So you, for example, and given everything that I know, what is the next best conversation that an advisor who is talking to you should have with you? And what we can measure is that those campaigns are really the ones that are bringing the best ROI. So we are in the process of generalizing this. So this is very concrete. So it's already done, but it's to be pursued. And another thing is maybe on the acquisition of new clients. We were talking about before the fact that all clients are very diverse. And if I look, for example, at the professional clients, so SMBs, we have an extreme variety of clients of different activities with different needs, different value also for the bank. So we are having also a very value-oriented approach. So with the data analytics, you are able to measure the lifetime value of clients, of course. And when you have selected those specific segments, then you can really tailor acquisition strategies that are completely tailored to their needs. For example, if you are a doctor, it will not be the same ecosystem as if you are a startup. So, for example, looking at startups and of a specific kind, we can partner with people that are working on the creation of company and have common solutions designed for them. So it starts with really choosing the right segment based on analytics, and then doing UX research and tailor new propositions.
And how does the company ensure that personalized marketing efforts like these maintain customer privacy and trust at the same time?
Yeah, I think your point is absolutely key. And as we are handling a lot of personal data, of course, so we are submitted to law, of course, as all European companies with the GDPR. But I think that we have other regulations, because we are in the banking sector. So you have also the banking secrecy. So everything that we do, we have, of course, great care about using and finding the balance between the use of personal data and the value it brings also to the customer. So whenever it's something which is really in interest of the customer, for example, we can analyze his data to indicate potential savings, for example. We just say, we have observed that you could save some money if we propose some insights to you. Would you be interested in that? So we check the interest first of the customer, even though we are not legally obliged to ask for consent, but we prefer having this like soft consent. So the person says, yes, I'm interested. And then we say, okay, we can activate this service for you that will analyze all your energy bills and will propose to switch suppliers, and we do that automatically for you. So I think this is really finding that balance and being very transparent with the customer and testing the interest of the customer.
All right. So let's move on to lighter topics now. What does your typical day at work look like? You wake up in the morning and then what?
I have no typical work. every day is different. Every day is different. Yesterday I had a 2 hours meeting with all my teams, because we are hiring a lot of new people, and because we have different streams of expertise that I mentioned, and it's so important to have connections between the streams. And now with also home office, it's becoming more complicated, because you are not present the same day, and etc. So we have recently, since COVID, we've made a lot of effort to create moments where people can connect and find some spontaneity and connect themselves personally. So for yesterday, for example, I was busy part of the day with my team, creating connections, meeting new people. And in the morning I was with the exco. So it's every day is different, but it's a lot about meeting people, connecting, giving the vision, re-explaining why we are doing what we are doing, how we are progressing, blah blah blah. So this is a lot of that.
And how much of your time would you say is taken up by meetings?
Too much. but we are trying, I think, at least with our teams, we spent also a lot of time thinking about our own way of working, no? And because I think that what struck me is that when we look at the big tech, we are always very impressed, and it's obvious that they are very good at tech. So this is quite, but if you look at the amount of time that they are spending on optimizing the way they work, this is, I think, even more impressive, I think. And in the large organization like our organization, I think we have some potential really to look at the legacy in our operating systems also, and I mean, how we work. So we try to have as many active meetings as possible. So and we try to start all the meeting in my teams. We start with a very short energizer, 5 minutes, to make sure that we are all aligned and all present. So no phone, nor computer, blah, blah, blah. Everybody is concentrated. And we finish all the meetings with also a feedback. Okay, what have we done well? What should we do better next time? Blah, blah, blah. So, and have as much participation as possible, and be very clear also about the why are we meeting. Is it for validation? Is it information? Is it so? But this is constant work. Yeah.
And so you also mentioned that you are in the midst of hiring more people. What are the qualities you're looking for in candidates? Just for our audience who's interested in getting in the finance sector, what qualities are you most interested in?
So first, I mean, we are looking really at two things. We are looking at the type of expertise, and especially in my team, because we are the transformation team for the other entities, we need to have all those expertise, such as digital data, a higher expertise than the one that is in the country, because we are there to help them progress. So very high level of expertise, but we are also looking at a lot of soft skills. So we need people that are both very result oriented, that they have practical experience, so they want the results, but at the same time they need to be patient. They need to love to transmit, to coach people, to explain, because their job is to do with people, so that then the other people are learning how to do them with by autonomy. So it's a mix of of people that are very driven, but at the same time very cooperative and with a growth mindset. I mean, the growth mindset is definitely the thing that we favor.
So speaking of a growth mindset and being a constant learner and loving to face challenges, you yourself are also a board member of Arval, Life, Nickel, FLOA. So you gain different perspectives on various challenges. How do these experiences influence your work at your job?
I think that the strength of the group is also that the one that it serves very different segments of clients and also with different business models and offerings. So you mentioned some activity that are related to car leasing, for example, but we have also fintechs, we have big corporations. And I think that this is, it helps in two ways. I think that first, it helps to go faster. For example, when one entity has already developed intelligent document processing asset, we can replicate and use the same asset in another country without having to redevelop it. When we go for a profound transformation, such as the one I mentioned before about Agile, having also different entities helps very much, because the first one, which is the bravest one, will go and maybe have mistakes, more difficulty, but then for the late followers, it will be much easier then to learn and also to jump into the water because they have seen the results. And finally, I think the fact of having all those different companies also allow some innovation. So for example, the fact of putting together the retail bank, the people that are in specialized in the financing of cars, and the people that are leasing cars and insurer, we were able to create a platform where we can really provide the final consumer with an engine tool that is able to advise you on the best car you should use based on your behaviors, where you live, the carbon impact that you want, blah, blah, blah. And then offer different financing solutions with insurance and etc. So it's also, by putting different teams together, it also allows to answer in a better way to the consumer needs.
So as you transition the business models of BNP Paribas retail banking business in particular, what innovative marketing channels do you see as the most effective in reaching and engaging modern customers?
I think that for us, banking is a little bit specific, but also we are very lucky to have a mobile app, which is always among the 10 most used apps of our customers, because on average people will go 25 to 40 times a month. So this is something which is incredible as a company. So the mobile is definitely the way where most changes are happening. So gradually it's been used more and more, of course, for letting the customer being able to do things by himself, so have more autonomy. But the vision that we have, it's really becoming the center of interaction, because as I said before, the customer is contacting the bank more and more remotely. So we see, and we've made also analysis on that the channels of interactions are also changing. So people are sending less emails, more instant messaging. So if you link those changes to the security issue, and because fraud with emails or unsecured channels is increasing, for us, the mobile is really becoming like a hub of interaction where you can, and the secure instant messaging will become really the main channel to interact with the customer, where you can have asynchronous or synchronous conversation. You can share documents, you can do co-browsing, you can sign electronically. So I think this is going to be a big evolution in the way that we interact and we sell the products. This is one thing. And the second thing is that part of the new services that we have created on the mobile is also provide more data, personalized data to the customer. If I take an example, when you have your payment transaction data, now we are able to predict things. So you are able to say, well, based on the last month, your capacity to save and to put money away, has increased from this amount to this amount. So what would you like to do with this amount? Would you like to open a saving account and you can do it directly here? Or would you like to discuss the matter with an advisor? So we see that more and more what we call marketing in reality is going to be a mix of a personalized advice given on the mobile based on the person's data on the person, and then a proposition of call that is going to be an action call to action that is going to be either on the mobile or to another channel. But we see really the mobile has been the hub for interactions.
So with this increasing use of mobile to handle common banking transactions and everything, do you think there's a less of a pressure on banks to open new branches, physical branches, or is that expansion still happening?
Yeah, the paradox is that maybe some people thought that the digital was going to replace branches, but what you see, especially when you look at the interactions with of clients with the bank and what they declare, but also what they do, you see that even young people are the ones that have the most interactions. So they have more digital interactions, but they also have more human interaction, because I think that the more you develop the two in parallel. So it's not one replacing the other. It's on the contrary, it's more interactions. And when you think about AI and the possibility of a virtual assistant that will come now with the Gen AI, it's going to increase even more the quantity of interactions that people will have with the banks. So I think that for banks such as other retail sectors, I think it is really about developing more and more interaction on the digital that are personalized, that are meaningful with personal insight, but at the same moment having the possibility to unplug for the digital every time that it's relevant for the customer. So there's a little bit of complexity. There's a specific situation, but human doesn't necessarily mean branches. So this is still something that we'll see in the coming years, what is happening. There have been countries that have been very strong on decreasing branches, mostly in the north of Europe. Traditionally in South America, more branches, even though they cut branches as well. But what you see is that it's even there, it's also depending on the client behavior, and also data is very useful to measure also what you are losing when you close a branch. So the latest work show that it's not necessarily profitable to close a branch, because you lose part of the relationship, you lose the new clients that still come a lot in the branches. So I think this is something that will continue to evolve gradually in the last years. But definitely what we do in the branches is changing. So basically the servicing, the common things, everything is going to be more and more handled by the digital. So people will come to the branches, but more for appointment, value added. But I also take care about specific populations. So like elderly population, very old people, or some people that don't speak well French and etc. They still need to have some accompaniment for the daily banking. And of course, branches are also very useful for that. They provide this social role.
So joining the executive committee of BNP Paribas Commercial Personal Banking and Services, CPBS, you'll be reporting to key figures of the organization. How do you plan to align your marketing initiatives that we just talked about with the broader strategic goals of the CPBS division?
Well, I think that for my role, it's I could not do it without being at the exco, because it gives you the legitimacy within the organization to push some important and structuring topics, but also because sitting with my peers who are the CEO of the different business, it's really a way to align all the initiative with them and to make them pivot or prioritize or postpone. So I know exactly what is going on the business. And third, on some of the most structural initiatives that I mentioned, like the changes of distribution and etc., I really need the buy-in of the CEO and the sponsorship of the CEO So I would say that by design, the alignment is there because it starts with proposing, but defining on common themes at the exco level, and then cascading them to the organization. So it's we prepare with the team, we cascade to the exco to make sure that it's aligned and approved, and then it goes back to be implemented. So it's crucial.
And what advice would you give to someone aspiring to have a career similar to yours, where you've reached?
But first of all, I would have never planned to have this career, because if someone had said you will end up in a top management role in a very big organization, I would say no way, because I hated it as a young person. So definitely for me, what worked most is to follow up on what really drove me in terms of energy, because I think that when you are passionate with what you do, you invest the best of yourself, and then you are able to do it in a very good way. And that leads you to more excellence and blah, blah, blah. And I think that the advice I would definitely give is that I think that you should become expert at yourself. I think be very aware of what is driving you, what you don't like, and don't try to do things you think people expect from you, but really do things that you want to do for yourself, and it will lead you where it will lead you. But for me, the career was a consequence. It was never something that I say, I want to do this because I want to do the career. But that worked for me. I think everyone is different.
Yeah, that sounds like a very therapeutic advice. Again, it seems like you're really into it.
Absolutely.
All right. So the last question, which we ask every speaker, but in your case, it's quite relevant since what you said right now. The last question is, what would you be doing in your life if not this?
I keep asking myself all the time. Well, there are already things that I'm doing that are important for me outside of my job. So I mentioned the therapist, so training, but now I start to accompany a few people outside of work. Very reduced number because I don't have a lot of time, but I practice music a lot. So if I was not doing this, I play the jazz in a trio, and I love doing this. So I would probably do much more music if I was not working. This is something that is also creative and collective, and I like very much.